Good morning, children. So, in your previous classes, you have studied about the rise of Christianity and later how the medieval world was transforming and all. And during the same medieval ages, how Europe was there, all such things you have studied. Now, the third chapter deals about the rise and spread of Islam. So, during the medieval ages of world history, there are two great religions which emerged. So one we said that it is Christianity and the other is Islam. So in this chapter we are going to learn about how Islam was born and how it got spread. First how it took its birth, how it got spread, that we will see in this chapter. So the rise of Islam as a religion and its spread, it constitutes a significant part of the history of the medieval world. So in the medieval world, you know that in Europe it was Christianity which dominated, and in some other parts of the world that we will discuss where exactly that other part of the world is. So in the other parts of the world somewhere Islam was taking its origins. So the birth and rise of Islam also had a significant part of the history of medieval world, and the popularity of the religion the popularity of the religion resulting from successful military campaigns as well as from its relevance to the lives of very different kinds of people makes it a subject of much interest. So I'll make it very simple. Listen. See why Islam became a very popular religion within no time of its birth. So after the birth of this religion, why it became very popular? One is successful military campaigns. Okay, it could successfully, you know, do some wars and it could bring some areas under its control so that the people of that area can be converted into Islam. And the relevance to the lives of very different kinds of people. So whenever people wanted to see why do somebody adapt a new religion, if that religion, see already the people are having one religion during those times, and why do you think people will go for another kind of religions? Only when they find relevance. That means if the religion which is being, suppose now Islam is being spread, during the spread of the religion, people will think if that religion is really very close to them and if it is very relevant, that means it is very rational and correct to their day-to-day way of lifestyle, then they are ready to accept it and they may try to follow it. So Islam is a was very simple for many people and they felt it is as something close to them. Hence, they made it as a subject of their interest. That means they like that religion to follow. So, due to successful military campaigns, this religion could spread to many different areas. Once it reached to different areas, there the simple principles or whatever you call, whatever the way that religion was formed, all such things made people to easily accept it. It is not so complicated or it is not something very difficult to follow. It was very simple and very close to them, their day-to-day life. Hence, people have easily accepted this religion in different parts of the world. That is, they made it as their subject of interest. So let us now try to understand how the Arabian region, okay, so how the Arabian region was there in pre-Islamic times, because this Arabian region was the place exactly where Islam took its birth. So if you take this is a, like a world map and all, so this is all Europe. I mean, somewhere here Europe will come and here Arabian Peninsula and all, here India, I know Africa here. So like that we can imagine. And somewhere at this, I'm not exactly I'm telling you, but somewhere at this part, this Arabian Peninsula was there. And in that Arabian Peninsula, Islam took its birth. But before Islam taking its birth, what were the conditions there? So before the rise of Islam, the people, the people or the residents of Arabia are called Arabs. So people who are living in this Arabian region are known as Arabs, and the people were divided into tribes or Kabila. So people in this Arabian region themselves were divided into several tribal groups, and these tribal groups are also called Kabila. Okay, and each tribal group is led by a chief. That means there will be a headman for that tribe, and these tribes emphasized only on family cooperation to strengthen the clan system. So here, what these people were doing was, each all the people were divided into different tribes, and each tribe was headed by a chief, and each tribe is generally strong. Why it is strong? Because they emphasized on family system. That means several families, what happens, they together form, see, you take, this is one family, this is another family, and this is another family. So these all together they form a clan. Okay, so several families together they make a clan, and these clans will indirectly, they'll again represent the particular tribe. So here, to strengthen their clan system, that is a group of family system, they had emphasized on family cooperation. That means if suppose there are some 10 families, and if these 10 families are cooperative with each other, then that particular clan will be strong. Okay, so that their tribe can be very powerful. That was the situation during the, before the birth of Islam. Before the birth of Islam, this was the kind of situation in Arabian region. Many Arab tribes were nomadic. So what do you mean by nomadic here? Nomadic means they were moving from one place to another place, and in search of food and fodder. So naturally for the animals they need fodder or grass and their own food. So for these two purposes, these Arab tribes, they were they adopted a nomadic lifestyle. That means moving from one place to another place using their camels. So camels, as it was all a dry and desert region, it is very difficult for them to use another means of transport. So they were using camels as a means of transport. So they used to go in the desert areas and all in search of food and fodder for even their animals. And some settled in the cities and practiced trade or agriculture. In the Arabian region, some people they have settled in a very advanced regions called cities. Okay, cities means in their old, in those days, the kind of primitive kind of cities that they have formed. So some people, not everybody were nomadic. Some people they led settled life. Understood? Arabian tribes, some were nomadic, moving. Some people were settled, where in cities and all. The see, not modern day cities like and all, but their kind of cities in those days. And what these people, settled people, used to do, they practiced trade, that means business, and agriculture. So agriculture was also a major activity for those Arabian tribes. Since these nomadic tribes did not follow any single authority, there were frequent fights over resources. So the tribes, food and fodder was very important to them, right? So they are called resources. These tribes, even though they are led by chiefs, okay, still they were strengthening themselves. So what happened? For the resources, there were a lot of fights between the different tribe clans. So they used to fight for the resource material, land, you can call as land, you can call for grass or food, whatever you take, for animals, for camels. They used to fight always, these tribals or clans. Each tribe had its own god or goddess. So these people, these Arabian people, before the birth of Islam, they worshipped many gods or goddesses were also there. So they were polytheists. What were they? They were polytheistic in nature. That means they were worshipping many gods. And they had even idol worship in a shrine. So what do you mean by idol in a shrine? So you can call it like a small temple, and where inside no their idol, the god's idol will be placed, and these people, these tribals used to worship those idols. And once a year, the warring tribes of Arabia would put aside their differences and meet in the city of Makkah. Okay, so every year, but see, I told you that these tribes were always fighting with each other. But every year, on particular one day, what these tribes used to do is, these warring tribes, that means who are always involved in wars, what they do is they put aside their differences. That means they try to keep all the differences between them aside, and they meet in a place called Makkah. So in Makkah, there is a cube-like structure called Kaaba. Okay, so these tribals, they kept their differences aside, they stop their war differences and all, and they go to a place called Kaaba. So let us see what is this Kaaba and why they were meeting there. So we just now discussed that these people, they, all the tribes of Arabia, they meet at a place called Kaaba. So this Kaaba is a cube-like structure. So you know how a cube will be, right? So something like this, no, just imagine. So they meet at a place called Kaaba. And what for they used to meet here? So they meet at this place because this place is housed with idols from all tribes of Arabia. That means all the idols that belongs to each and every tribe in Arabia is placed inside this Kaaba. So inside this Kaaba region, all the idols from every tribe, okay, they are kept here inside this cube-like building. And the Kaaba was the center of Arabian religious life. So, and they made that place as their religious place because all tribes, gods were inside that Kaaba in the form of idols, and they want once a year as a pilgrimage, they wanted to go and worship their gods. So each tribe would make annual pilgrimages to the shrine. So these tribals every year they keep aside all the differences and make a pilgrimage. Pilgrimage means a holy journey based on their gods or goddess. Okay, so as per their belief systems, they have their gods in this Kaaba and they make pilgrimage. That means a holy journey. Out of devotion and love to the God, they make a journey. So they do such journeys every year once. And rise of Islam in Arabia. Now let us see how Islam took its birth, how exactly this Islam rose in those days. Now just now we have finished pre-Islamic days, right? Before the birth of Islam, that was the situation which we have discussed till now. Now we are going to learn about how Islam took its birth. It was in this world that Muhammad was born in 570 CE in the city of Makkah in Quraysh tribe. So a person by name Muhammad, okay, he was born in a city of Makkah. So you know what is this Makkah, right? Every year the Arabian tribes used to come and have their holy journey. So in Makkah, which is a city for them, in a tribe called Quraysh tribe. Okay, the name of the tribe was Quraysh tribe. In this Quraysh tribe, a man by name Muhammad was born. So he belongs to a tribe called Quraysh tribe. After being orphanaged at an early age, he was raised by his paternal grandfather Abdul Muttalib. So what happened to this Muhammad? He was being orphaned. That means he lost both his father and mother at an early age. So at a very young age, he lost his parents, and after that, he was raised by his paternal grandfather. What do you mean by paternal grandfather? So that means, like his one of his parents' grandfather, father's father or mother's father, he might have taken care. He was growing with his paternal grandfather by name Abdul Muttalib, Abd Muttalib, and his uncle Abu Talib. So Muhammad was raised by his grandfather Abdal Muttalib and his uncle Abu Talib. From a very young age, Muhammad accompanied his uncle on his trading journeys where he gained experiences in trade. So Abu Talib, who was uncle of Muhammad, he was a trader. So as he is a trader, he used to move from one place to another place. He used to make trading journeys. So whenever Abu Talib makes a trade or he wants to make a journey from one place to another place, even Muhammad used to go along with him. So he gained experience in trade. So who? Muhammad. And his journeys taught him about different places and their cultures and beliefs. So here Muhammad got, as he started joining the journeys of his uncle Abu Talib, he also gained experiences of trade. He visited different places, different cultures he has seen, different belief systems he has seen, and he met even people following Judaism and Christianity. So these two were the predominant religions in the medieval times. So naturally, Muhammad, when he was traveling with his uncle, he also came to understand what is Judaism, Christianity, and different cultures, beliefs, and different places, all such things. No, he came to an understanding. So Muhammad, he was a righteous and spiritual man. So Muhammad was a righteous and spiritual man. So what do you mean by righteous man? Righteous man means one who's know what is correct, what is moral, right? So this kind of differentiation he knows what is to be followed, what is correct or what is wrong, and what is really moral for anybody. This kind of principles he had, and he was also a spiritual man. That means he had the understanding of divineness, God, and many things. So he often spent time meditating in cave Hira and Mount Jabal al-Nur near Makkah. So what, because of his spirituality and all, what he did, he used to meditate. Okay, so sitting quietly and just trying to understand themselves. So where he used to meditate? In cave Hira. Okay, the name of the cave was Hira. Where it is located? On Mount Jabal al-Nur. So that is, Mount means it's a hill. So the name of the hill was Jabal al-Nur. Okay, he went on to a hilltop called Jabal al-Nur, which is near Makkah, and in a cave called Hira, he used to sit and meditate. He disliked idol worship and was concerned with the tribal clashes. So the major factors that Muhammad got disturbed and he wanted to take care of them was he disliked idol worship. That means he doesn't want to worship any god or goddess using a statue or an idol. So that he doesn't like. Second thing he was worried about was the clashes of the tribes or the tribal clashes. We said that in the pre-Islamic times, the tribals were completely at war with each other for resources. So he doesn't want all these people to fight like that. And economic inequalities amongst different clans. Because of this continuous wars and wars for I mean, what do you call this kind of resources? What happened? Many inequalities was there in the tribal societies. There are very poor people, there are some rich tribals. So this kind of a lot of differences and inequalities were there. And Muhammad was so much disturbed by these kind of situations with these Arabian tribes. He believed that worshipping various deities led to these differences. So during his meditation and all, when he started worrying about these people, then he understood that because of worship of various deities, because of various deities means as these tribals are worshipping innumerable number of gods, that is making them divided and fight with each other. So he understood the problem for the differences among the tribes. So what he did, Around 610 CE, when Muhammad was meditating in the cave one night, he received a revelation. So, as usual, he was worried about all these things and he was doing his meditation in the cave Hira. And one night, suddenly Muhammad received a revelation. Revelation means something is suddenly came to his understanding. Somebody said something to him, somebody opened a secret to him. Let us see what he got revealed or what he got realized. So you can see in this picture, this is cave Hira, where exactly Muhammad was meditating, which is on, okay. So this is cave Hira where Muhammad used to worship. This is a traveler on a pilgrimage. In modern days, they also go to this cave and sit and meditate here. But so this man Muhammad, he got a revelation from angel Gabriel. So Muhammad, he got a reveal from an angel. He was sitting in a cave and he got a revelation from an angel. So what was that revelation? What did that angel spoke to Muhammad? That angel said that God had chosen him as his messenger. Gabriel recited the words of God or Allah to Muhammad in verses. So, so what this angel Gabriel did, he recited, that means he said, he continuously said the words of God or Allah to Muhammad. Okay, so he said that Muhammad has been chosen as messenger of God, and God wants some work to be done by Muhammad, and all the things were said in the form of verses. That means something like a rhythmic poem kind of thing. You can call it like that. Verse means something in a rhyming manner. So Gabriel said in a very rhyming manner many things to Muhammad, and Muhammad was 40 years at that time. So what was his age? 40 years. And over the years, Muhammad received numerous revelations which were compiled in Quran. So over years, when years used to pass on, when Muhammad started sitting continually sitting in the cave and started meditating, every now and then this Gabriel reveals something to Muhammad. Firstly, when he revealed, he said that God wants Muhammad to be messenger of him, and he started revealing something to Muhammad. What is that something? That all things were compiled. That means they were all put together in a book, and it is called the Holy Book of Islam, called Quran. The God was also called Allah. Okay, Muhammad called even God as Allah, and Muhammad started preaching that there is only one God who is Allah, and that He alone should be worshipped. So he said that all these tribes, they must not fight with each other, thinking that there are a number of gods. They should feel that there is only one God and He is Allah, and only they should worship only Allah. And Muhammad also taught that one should a life in a complete submission to the will of Allah. So that is, Muhammad told that all these tribes, they have to worship Allah. Okay. Also what they have to do? They have to submit. That means they should completely believe the God who is nothing but Allah, who is formless. So this was the initial things that Muhammad experienced, and this was the revelation and other details of Islam. So this was how you can think that fundamentally Islam took its birth like this in a cave in the mind of Muhammad. So thus Muhammad founded the religion of Islam and began his journey as a prophet. So what did he do it? So once he started, then he founded a separate religion because he knows that all the tribals are having their own kind of gods. So to drive them towards his philosophy and towards his beliefs, what he did, he founded a religion called Islam. So the name of the religion was Islam, and he began his journey as a prophet. Prophet means a holy teacher, and his wife Khadija is said to be his first follower. So the first follower of Muhammad was his wife Khadija, and She is said to be his first follower. His family members and several people from his tribe started following his preaching and accepted Islam. So initially, Muhammad was successful in convincing his family as well as his tribe. What was his tribe name? Quraysh tribe, right? So Quraysh tribe slowly got converted into attracted with the teachings of Muhammad, and they converted into Islam. And followers of Islam are known as Muslims. So what do you call the people who follow the religion newly founded by Muhammad called? They're called Muslims. And here you must know what is Islam. It means submission to Allah. He said that the messenger told to, and even Muhammad felt that, right? One everybody who follows Islam should submit to God. Islam means submission to Allah. So those who submit to the will of Allah and obedience to his laws are known as Muslims. So this is how the Islam took its birth and it started spreading. So we told that every many times the Gabriel angel came and he just started revealing the messages of God to Muhammad, and all such things were compiled in a book called Quran. And slowly the teachings of Muhammad, they became the holy book of the Muslims. All teachings were compiled in a book by his followers, and those teachings became a very in a holy book called Quran. They became very important to Muslims. Muhammad forbade idol worship and emphasized on goodness and service to all. So he forbade idol worship. That means he he was against idol worship. He never want anybody to worship through statues or idols, because that was the reason why those tribes were fighting, saying that our God is great, your God is not, so something like that. So first thing, he wanted to unite the tribals. To unite the tribals, he should forbade them to worship idols. So idols were strictly, those who want to follow Islam were strictly allowed to not to pray for any idol. Okay, this was the first. I know you can call it like a principle, or I mean, and what do you call a compulsion there. And what through that, what he emphasized on goodness and service to all. So what is the goal of Islam? It wants a goodness of all people and service to all the needful people. By 622 CE, Muhammad gained considerable followers in Makkah. However, the monotheistic ideas of Islam soon faced considerable opposition from Makkan authorities. So Muhammad was on his journey like this. He's slowly traveling from one place to one place, and he's preaching all the principles of Islam. And when he was going like this, he got considerably good number of followers he got. And this monotheistic ideas of Islam faced opposition from Makkan authorities. What is this monotheistic ideas? That means preaching only one God, and there is no form for the God. He is formless. So this kind of things are called monotheistic. Worship of one God is called monotheism. This was rejected by the Makkan authorities. So before the emergence of Islam, Makkah was dominated by Quraysh tribe, and this tribe had some heads, chiefs. And these chiefs, they were not happy with Muhammad's followers, because they are preaching against the tribal belief systems. So in 622 CE, Muhammad was forced to migrate with his followers to Medina. So these authorities, they said they are not going to accept Muhammad to preach this kind of new religions, and they don't want this monotheism and all. So they forced Muhammad. So what they did, they were ready to kill even Muhammad. So Muhammad forcibly he migrated with his followers to Medina, and Muhammad's journey from Makkah to Medina is known as Hijrat. So as you know, Muhammad, he doesn't want violence to happen again. He left Makkah, and uh, while leaving Makkah, Muhammad had to travel. He has to take shelter at different places. Sometimes he doesn't get food and water to take with his followers. So he made a long journey to Medina. And the journey of Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, from Makkah to Medina is called Hijrat, and the Hijrat marks the beginning of Muslim calendar. So that is the reason you observe even modern day the Muslims fast during the Ramzan days, because that was the period for that whole 1 month time. Prophet Muhammad was having a scarcity of water and food. Still, he was on his mission to, people to change people and all. So, as a mark of his holy journey called Hijrat, even modern day people do that. You might be seeing Muslims fasting on Ramzan and praying. So, pray special prayers they all do. So, see the things. But that practice came from this, and Hijrat also marks the beginning of Muslim calendar. Okay, from this they called it as the first year of Muslims. So this is called Hijrat and it marks the beginning of Muslim calendar. The people of Medina welcomed Prophet Muhammad and his followers. At Medina, Muhammad set up a political community based on Islam. So after migrating to Medina, okay, people of Medina, they welcomed Prophet Muhammad. They liked Muhammad and his teachers, sorry, and his teachings and his followers also. So what he did, he set up a political community. He thought that politically Islam now needs a transformation. That means now it is a religious body. It needs its own political affairs. There must be a head looking after, and being a spiritual teacher, he will be guiding everyone. So he wants to communitize every person who was his followers, and that he started from Medina. And this community, political community, should be founded on the basis of Islamic principles. So, so this is the same thing. Again, there was a repetition here. So in 629 CE, Muhammad returned to Makkah and seized it. During the next 2.5 years, numerous Arab tribes converted to Islam. So once he made a journey from Makkah to Medina, right? First he made journey from Makkah to Medina. And here in Medina, he made a political organization for Islam. Later, again, Prophet Muhammad, after gaining popularity in Medina, he moved back to Makkah. And with his followers and his other things, he took control over Makkah. And during the next 2.5 years, numerous Arab tribes converted to Islam. And Makkah and Medina became holy places of Islam. After coming to Makkah back and taking the control of Makkah, he could convert all the tribes in Makkah and other places into Islam. With his teachings and preaching, many tribes got converted into Islam. Medina and Makkah, these both places became holy centers, sacred centers for Muslims. Medina became the administrative capital of rising Islamic State with Makkah as religious center. So Prophet Muhammad made Medina as political headquarters and Makkah as religious headquarters of Islam. Idols in Kaaba in Makkah were removed as Muslims faced the shrine while offering prayers. So what else? I mean, what happened to the gods in Kaaba? All the idols were removed because the Muslims see this Kaaba is in Makkah, right? So in this Makkah, this Kaaba was there where the tribes used to go and worship their idols. As now Makkah is dominated by Islam and Muslims offer prayers in this Kaaba, a cube-like structure, they removed all the tribal gods from this place. Almost all tribals got converted, so they are not worried about they have removed the idols or not. So all the Muslims have to worship here. So they removed all the idols inside this cube-like structure called Kaaba. By the time Muhammad's death in 632 CE, Islam had spread to the entire Arabian Peninsula. So by 632 CE, Islam, no, it went in its a full-fledged manner and it completely dominated Arabian Peninsula. The religion that dominated Arabian Peninsula during the Muhammad's time was Islam. got its complete growth over there. Within a short time, Prophet Muhammad was able to unite the warring tribes of Arabia under a new faith, community, and state. So this is how the Arabian Peninsula had seen its birth of Islam and rise and spread of Islam.